Today we're going to learn about amber. So amber is the fossilized remains of tree resin, which is a lot like tree sap. So trees ooze this resin out to protect themselves and to help heal themselves, like we would use a scab to heal ourselves. So things get trapped inside this tree resin. Bugs, plants, lots of small things and slow-moving things can get trapped inside the amber and get buried into the earth for millions of years, and the resin turns into a gemstone, amber, and whatever was inside of it is trapped inside. So what kind of things do you think would get trapped inside amber? Remember, it's fossilized tree resin, so it's kind of like sap from trees. So what would get trapped in sap that's leaking out of trees? Would you say wasps? Would you say pollen? Would you say plants? Would mammal hairs get trapped in amber? Or would all of those above and more? Yep, you guessed it. It's all of those above and more. Anything that will fall into the resin and can't get out can get trapped and turned into fossils inside amber. Since everything that finds its way into amber is trapped, the objects that are trapped inside are not truly turned into real fossils. So fossils are usually formed when rock minerals slowly replace the existing hard parts of organisms with rock minerals. So here you see there are some shells that were turned into stone. Those aren't the actual shells. Those have been slowly converted into fossils. So the minerals in the rocks have slowly replaced the minerals in the shells to turn into fossils. So it's almost like a copy, but it's not the real thing. So what is inside of amber is the real thing. It's the actual organism, whatever it is, that was trapped. So what gets trapped in amber is the actual object, not a replacement of the object. It's not been turned into stone. It's the actual thing. It's been dried out like a mummy, but it's the actual thing. Here you see an insect, and that is the actual insect that got trapped, we're going to say, tens or hundreds of millions of years ago. So this is what makes amber so interesting to study. There's so much detail that's trapped inside. Scientists can tell what type of plants lived when and where based on the grains of pollen that are found inside of amber. Amber can preserve things all the way down to the size of bacteria. It's a wonderful medium of study. And there are even certain delicate animals that we can only find in amber. There are remains of ancient slime molds that we've only been able to find in amber. So you may ask, why would I care about fossil slime molds? Because slime molds are really weird and really interesting. If you don't believe me, look them up. There's even a slime mold named dog vomit slime mold. That's its name. They're like as if a whole bunch of cells just smushed together and mixed all their parts to become one giant cell. They can think and have memories, though they don't have brains. They are very interesting creatures. And we can only find fossils of them in amber because obviously they're really soft, little squishy things. So amber's perfect, right? We should just get all of our fossils from amber. It sounds like a good idea. But there's a couple problems. The biggest piece of amber we've ever found is about the size of a basketball. So if something's going to get trapped in there, it has to be smaller than a basketball. So big dinosaurs are out. Maybe if a very, very tiny dinosaur passed out in resin or died and then fell into it and got covered over, maybe we could find that in amber. Let's hope one day we find something like that. That would be amazing. But as of right now, that hasn't happened. So usually we find small objects. That's where amber is very, very important to study, for very small things and in very great detail. So here is a wonderful video courtesy of The Atlantic that gives a good story about amber.
Amber is a substance like nothing else on Earth. It has the ability to capture history and also capture human cultural imagination for hundreds of thousands of years. And at the same time, amber is bringing up new questions for people to wrestle with, both scientific and ethical. And so it continues to be just a fascinating substance that it's the flypaper for a lot of emotion and science at the same time. Amber is not a stone, it is not a gem, it is fossilized tree resin. It's formed over millions of years when sap oozes out of certain types of trees and hardens. Insects that are around the tree are often attracted to this sticky goo, and as they get stuck, they kind of become entombed or mummified, perfectly preserved within this plant plastic. The amount of detail you can get in fossilized specimens inside the amber is eons ahead of other types of fossils. It's kind of like going from the grainy black and white pixels of old television to full high-def movies. For example, you can see the veins on insect wings. You can watch creatures actually laying eggs that have been caught in amber, or mating, or doing all kinds of things that are never captured in the record of stone fossils. There are three major areas of the world where it is primarily found. The Dominican Republic, where the amber is about 16 to 20 million years old. The Baltic states, where the amber is about 46 million years old. And Burma, where the amber is about 100 million years old. There's just a mind-blowing amount of science coming out of Burmese amber. Everything from spider with a tail to lizards, birds, part of a dinosaur. They're helping scientists understand how the ancient world worked. But the mines in Burma are about 300 feet deep, and they are super dangerous. Most of the people working in there are teenagers, and some scientists have said that hundreds were killed every month. Not only are the conditions bad, but the money that comes from the sale of this immense amount of amber is used to fund wars and arms and to fight both the Rohingya minority in Burma and to continue the battles that are going on between the Kachin Independence Army and the Burmese government. It hasn't been known for very long what is actually happening in the Burmese mines, but as we're getting more information about this part of the world and what's happening there, it becomes ethically and morally very murky to be so excited about Burmese amber. One scientist called for a moratorium of Burmese amber until the ethical questions can be resolved. Now that they know, they're faced with the question, do you do something about it, or do you just keep going on with the science? And the science is really exciting. But these conditions are so abhorrent that the tension will eventually come to a head.
So the key word to remember about amber is detail. Amber preserves amazing detail. It's like HD for fossils. There are some issues with amber. Small objects are the only things that can get trapped in amber. Amber is pretty rare, and there are some ethics questions surrounding Burmese amber to be worried about. The most important thing to remember about amber, though, is detail.